everybody. How's it going? Welcome to the Sunday Storytellers Series. I'm your host, John Taglieri. Welcome back. It's Sunday at 6 o'clock. This is what we do, right? Happy Mother's Day, by the way. Happy Mother's Day to everybody out there who is a mom, obviously, and I hope that your mom had a wonderful Mother's Day and that you gave her a call and told her that you loved her a lot. We are right now live on Facebook, on Twitch, on Periscope, and on YouTube. So every week now, we're going to be live on all four of those. And then also, as y'all know, we're on the Roku network on Plymouth Rock TV. So Thursdays at 7 p.m., you can catch the show on Plymouth Rock TV channel on Roku. You can also stream it all week on Roku, or you can stream it off Facebook. You can go to YouTube now. There's no shortage of places to watch the shows. How's everybody doing tonight? I've got the chat room open, so please let's say hi. I see a bunch of people in there. We've got a great guest tonight. We're going to get more into that in a second. I don't know if you see, we got some new stuff going on here. Every week we're trying to make this look a little bit better, and the room's hopefully looking to your satisfaction. Throughout the show, let me know that everything sounds good. I know I'm watching right now, and we're using some new technology this week, which is getting us to stream on all the pages that we're on. So make sure you let me know if everything's good. Let's get to this week's guest. This week's guest is Dan Tracey. Dan is the guitar player for Alan Parsons, legendary Alan Parsons, as well as his own band, Save the World. He has had music on All My Children, The Bold and the Beautiful, the Hillary Duff movie, Material Girls. He's had music in the Super Bowl halftime show. There has been a lot going on in his career, but I'm going to give you a little taste of his band Save the World. Looks like this. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dan Tracey. What's going on, Dan?
Hey, how are you, John?
Doing well, doing well. We just so y'all know, Dan and I tested the Zoom out. There is a slight delay between us, so if you hear a little delay in our conversation, that's why. So, how's everything going, my friend? Everything well?
Yeah, it's going great.
Good. Good. Dan and I have a little history. He was a guest on my old radio show when the Save the World record first came out. We got to hear that record right as it came out, and I know you're working on a second one right now.
We are. Yeah, we're working on the follow-up right now.
How's that going?
Frontiers label.
Oh, on Frontiers. Frontiers is a great label.
Yeah, they picked us up last year, which was great, and they signed us to a 4-record distro deal. So we have some more in the pipeline after this. But yeah, it's nice because it gives us a venue to get our stuff out there. But yeah, we're midway through it right now.
That's awesome, and they're a respected label too. When I had my record deal way in the back in the day, I was signed to a leg off Universal, which was another one of the European labels. And then when I left, Frontiers and Now and Then were two of the labels that I almost signed with after that. So they're really respected label. A lot of great bands on the label.
Okay. Yeah, we're thrilled to be a part of it.
So you're home for a bit now. I know you've been touring a lot with Alan in the last couple of years. Tell everybody how that what's it like working and touring with a legend like Alan Parsons?
Yeah, it's of course it's quite an honor. As a young kid, I'm the youngest of 6 kids, and my eldest brother David kind of was turning me on to a lot of great stuff. Floyd, the Beatles, all that stuff. And I remember hearing early Alan Parsons stuff, in particular the song Time. And I just remember feeling like I was floating, that lift to the chorus comes and it's just,
yeah,
It's incredible. But yeah, it's kind of surreal sometimes to experience that live on stage while we're doing it. I'm trying to think back to when I was a kid first hearing those songs, and now I get the honor to get up there and play them with him. And he's a great guy. We have a good time. It's a wonderful band lineup. We've got a lot of chemistry in the band, and they're good people. You know, it's a big crazy family.
You gotta love the people you tour with, because you're spending more time with them than your own family at some points. So.
Right.
Is there ever a time you're on stage and you have that "what am I doing here" moment?
In a good way or a bad way?
No, in a good way. In a good way. Like holy smokes, I don't know if I realized it yet, but that's Alan Parsons.
Sure, absolutely. And that's happened with some other artists I've played with as well. But yeah, Alan, his body of work is deep, and it's pretty prestigious. But yeah, you know, that does happen occasionally. But honestly, most of the time, the whole band, we're into being the band, so we're kind of lost in in that exchange that we have on stage. It's a really great listening band. It's not just a bunch of chop meisters. We're really trying to take these great songs that Eric and Alan wrote and elevate them and make them great, and still, stay very true to the production, the sounds, all of it. Honestly, I was telling somebody the other day, I think that we're more particular sometimes than Alan, if you could believe that, about making sure that the sounds are right, and reining each other in, and not coloring outside the lines too far, because this stuff's precious to us too. We grew up with it.
Right. Well, let's get. I want to get to your songwriting and how you write. I know you told me you're sitting in your writing cabin right now, which is really kind of cool that you have a space like that to go. Tell everybody about. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about your process when you write songs. Because today we're going to hear a few Save the World songs, and then we've got one song that we're going to talk about that you wrote with or for Alan that made it onto the Alan Parsons record too. So you're sitting in your space now for writing. How's it all work?
Yeah. Well, when I was younger, I was very weak in the lyric department. And music has always come easy to me to write good pop songs and that kind of thing. But to get my lyric muscle in shape, I literally dropped everything. I was with a really great band back north in Connecticut, and things were happening for us. But I just wasn't happy with where I was in my songwriting. So I had a friend living here in Nashville, Donald Main, and I had some other friends here, Darren Favorite, great guitar player. And I told my wife, I want to go check it out for a week, and I just want to, this is the best songwriters. Every time I heard a song and flipped over the record and looked to see who wrote it and investigate them, they were all down here. So I made the move. Thank God my wife was really cool with it. We had a young kid, and literally, man, we sold like everything we had, popped in a moving truck, came down here, picked out an apartment, and just kind of jumped in. But I knew immediately when I got down here for that 1 week that this was the place to be.
Yeah.
It just makes you better, just being around those people and kind of being in the process. But really, the big change came for me. I was just talking about this the other day to a younger songwriter, was asking questions. First off, no songwriter I know, even the great ones, will tell you that yes, I'm finally made it. I'm there. You're never there as a songwriter. You're always trying to, you're always listening to these songs that you love and measuring yourself against those songs. And, holy cow, I wish I'd written that, which is great. It's great for the art form, and it's great to keep me inspired. But I saw a bit on the Oprah Winfrey show, and I'd already been in Nashville, but they had Tom T. Hall on. And, he said, she asked him the question, how do you go through your writing process? And he said, a stream of consciousness. And I just did not get it. For 2 days, literally, I was sitting just thinking about it, driving around thinking about it. And it just really hit me one day, you have to let it out. And as my friend Reggie Ham, who's a great songwriter, he says, you have to be safe enough with yourself to suck. If you let it all out and you suck, then you start tweaking it. And he goes, then it gets better. And it's true. And it's really been my process since then. And I've been very, very lucky to meet my musical soulmate, Robert Wright. And he's a phenomenal producer. but he makes me feel so safe to just let these things out until I get to a point where I go, okay, I'm done with it, and I can push it over to him, and he does his thing to it, But
Right.
that's a very freeing thing for me because, as a songwriter, you can tend to get very protective of your songs, and he's really taught me to don't be so protective, and just let's work it a little bit and massage it and all that. But yeah, so that's basically my process. I have it in a studio in my house, and I work up all my music there. But if I'm working on lyrics, I have a kind of a two-step process. Come in here in my little writing cabin here. It's a 24 by 14 foot, very rustic cabin on my property, and it's quiet. I live out here in the middle of about 1,000 acres. I don't own it all. I only own 3 of it. There's farmers all around me, so it's great.
That's nice.
But it gives me a space where I can then, I can focus in on the lyric, and then the final step is, I'll read this stuff to my wife, who's a great critic because she's not going to mince words with me. If she goes, that stinks, then I know I got to tweak it.
Yeah, mine's the same way. I've written some songs.
She'll take. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's the same way. She's blunt, which is great. That's what we need.
Yeah. So she'll take me out and go, okay, you got to finish a couple of these, and that's what happened on the last record. She's like, you got 2 to finish, and we'll jump in the car. We take these long rides in the country, and the radio's off, and she just knows to drive and kind of let me do my thing. I got my computer on my lap, and it just comes. It's something about being out there and driving. That's what works for me. I know people that are very, corporate about it. They make a time when they're going to write that day, and they get it, and they can do it. There's some people like that.
Yeah.
That's not my thing. I can't do that.
When I used to go to Nashville a lot, and one of the things that used to drive me crazy, I'd weeded out the writers. There were the ones that would write a line and stop. Okay, let's think about that line. I'm like, can we just finish the song, and then figure out lines? Let's let the song talk a bit. And yeah, I think that's a great way to be. Is let the song. I've said it to a few people on the show already. I think a lot of times we're not really writers, but conduits. It's out there, and it chooses you at that moment to come. And,
That's right.
And if you're accepting of that moment, we get a song.
Yeah.
All right, so
exactly
let's talk about Bleed.
You got to be present.
Let's jump right in with Bleed. So let's talk about this is a great song. I know this was the first single off the last Save the World record. So how did that song come about?
So really, I've got history with the Stain guys. I played it early on with John Wysocki in a band for many years in Springfield, Mass, and that whole circuit up there. And he had contacted me, was just curious about Nashville, and I said, man, well, come visit, come stay at my house. So he came out, and of course we got to having a couple of drinks and talking about, gosh, we should do something. It'd be a blast, And of course I got Robert involved right away, and I had to write a song. So I was coming back from a show one night late, and I wanted something a little edgy, and I thought of the Bleed thing. I didn't want to get too cliche about it. I had the hook, but I didn't know what I was going to write the rest of the song about yet. And about a week went by. As you do, you get up, you're humming it, it's in your head. It's good if you're singing it, and It's still coming. So I was just brushing my teeth in the mirror one day, and I was like, Bleed. I said, it's so cliche if I just do this whole metal thing. I said, it's not me. I want to say something. So I thought it hit me. I said, man, tattoos, and I had just been talking to somebody because they got a tattoo. Their mother passed, and they had something very special, a little sparrow to remember her by. And I thought that was so interesting and a lot deeper, that the process of bleeding and getting a tattoo is so cathartic to people, and not only helps them memorialize people that they've lost or just special things in their life. It's a way to get it out. And then for the video, I just came up with the storyline. I wanted to kind of portray that whole vibe of, you think you got it bad, well, you don't really know until you walk in somebody else's shoes. And you see people every day, but you really don't know what they're going through.
Right.
So I kind of made it this split story thing of a veteran. I'm very passionate about vets and things dealing with our heroes, and a young girl who's dealing with cancer, and a boyfriend at a young age, all that stuff. And you know, in the video, of course, you think the worst thing that's happening to her is that her boyfriend's cheating on her, and you find out later it's something much worse.
Right.
And the same thing with our hero. You know, you see him, he looks like he's falling apart with PSD. He's a drunk, this and that. But you know, again, you have that kind of that aha moment at the end of the video where you see what's really going on.
Right.
And yeah, so that's how we did it.
All right. Well, let's get to the video. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Save the World and Bleed. Man, that is an awesome song. That video, the first time I watched it, it took me a minute to, like you said, it's that turnaround at the end where you're like, oh, and you understand what the characters are about. So, yeah, that's just that's a powerful song, especially when you get to know what it's about. Very awesome. When you went in to record that, was there did you guys go in with a vision like, okay, we know it's a harder edge song, but we got this message and we really want to dig in and convey that message? Was there like a good meeting of the minds with the producer and everybody in the band that you knew how to get that message in there?
No, I kind of had, I went in and was just, constructing the guitar parts. And Robert was there that day. A lot of times we worked apart, over the internet, basically. But he was there with me and John, and I basically, laid out all the parts to the song and said, here's the hook, here's the that. And that's it. I think the only thing I did later on is I came home and I thought it needed a bridge, so I put that middle part in. And, with the lower voice, that's actually me with an octave machine on, octave effect on my voice.
Nice.
And, it is with the, the ink of our sins and our sorrows, all that stuff. Thought it was just like a little extra little frosting in that part. Something to break up the monotony of the song. And, a big thing at the front that Robert was kind of cool at, I kept hearing this kind of syncopated in the background. And I was trying to make it with my wah-wah, and I kind of did it with my wah and my guitar, which is what you hear. But Robert broke it up in time, electronically, on the screen, took the waveform and chopped it up so it does the...
Yeah, oh, that's cool, man. It does sound awesome.
The whole song in the background. And, it gives it some identity.
Yeah.
A little more tension. Needed a little more tension in there, that kind of thing. So
very cool.
That's it. It's really about creating a sonic landscape. For us, we like we like it to be epic. That's kind of the flavor of the Save the World stuff. We want it to be epic and say something a little deeper lyrically.
So speaking of epic, let's talk about Circus Maximus. That video is awesome, and that song is amazing. Okay. So how did that one? How do you get into a song like that?
Started with a guitar lick, actually. Honest, John, I'm just in my studio and I go, I need another song. Let's come up with a couple licks, and I just start throwing some stuff out. Came up with that chop at the front, and my wife had heard it from the other room. She goes, that's really cool. And, it was a different time signature for us with the whole triplet feel.
Right.
And, and then from there I was getting, we're at the time, and even now, of course, we were getting barraged with media. Nobody knows what to believe, gets everybody pissed off at each other, gets people all passionate. So, and they're only going to reveal what they want you to see, depending on what channel you're looking at. So it's all about clicks and likes and viewership and all that. And I just wanted to expose, I know we all realize it, but I just wanted to point my finger at it, kind of make a little ha-ha about it without getting too serious. We did that video for under $500, which we did the Believe video was quite a bit more. We're in the $20,000 range. So we said, can we do a video for $500? So yeah, and we went into. Luckily, I had a buddy that's a great film producer, and he was up for the challenge. And it was more about limiting ourselves and trying to do the most you could. Just like when you had a 4-track Tascam cassette player. You didn't have a big studio.
Oh, I remember those days.
So
when you bounced from track to track to track.
Right. And sometimes it was better. That's right. Sometimes it was better, though, right?
Yep.
And
because you had to get creative with those.
Alan, it's funny we're talking about that. That's it. Alan said he misses the days of having only 8 tracks because you had to have a great song and you had to have it right. You had to have your arrangement tight, all of that. It made you work hard, which is I agree with.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we had those limitations on the song. We literally went out and took $100 and went into a Goodwill and bought some random stuff. You see the talking bass fish and a couple other things in there. And from there, I just told John, I said, here's the vibe we want. I said, it's got to be comedy. I want a little Step Brothers vibe in there with John and Robert, and that's kind of what we went for.
Very cool. It absolutely speaks to, and I know you wrote it a few years back, but it very much speaks to life today. And I talked about this with another songwriter where right now we're a very sound clip and meme driven world. Everything is, I saw a meme, so that must be facts.
Yeah.
And this song really speaks to exactly what that is. And I know it's from the first record, but it's like you guys, it was even back then, obviously, it's permeated how things go these days. So, all right. So let's get to, so, and when we come back, normally we have people play live on the show, but we're playing videos today. And when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the situation that you've got going on and why we're playing videos today. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Circus Maximus.
Sure.
Without the ice, the bears cannot survive. For polar bears, climate change may be a death sentence. The bears stake out breathing holes carved out by seals. They wait until the seals must come up for air. And when they do, in
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Circus Maximus. That is awesome, man. $500.
500.
That's an awesome video. I love.
That's John Camp. Yeah, John Campolo is the video director that did all the editing and all that. He did a wonderful job. He's a really funny guy and has a great sense of humor. So he totally captured what we were looking for. Came up with most of that stuff on himself, by himself.
Yeah, that's just it's a fun video. It's very tongue in cheek. I like the drone crash. That was cool. So, as I said earlier, we're running videos tonight, and there's a reason for that. But I want you to talk about it. I don't want to be the one to talk about it. So, why don't you explain to everybody exactly,
I guess,
what's going on?
Yeah. So last year, in the middle of touring, I've been, having some issues with my hearing. So I went back to my regular ENT I've had for many years here in Nashville, and he went inside and said he thinks he saw some type of a tumor in my ear. Of course, that raises the alarm bells a little bit, but so we kind of did an X-ray and some other things, and it ended up being a cholesteatoma, which is something that happens in your ear, and I know other people that have had it. So we got a biopsy done, and it came back benign, thank God. So it was a matter of just getting this thing out. Unfortunately, I was in the middle of touring with Alan, and I just kept putting it off because we had to work, and I didn't want to let the guys down. So my regular doctor assigned me a great surgeon, Dr. Schwaber at St. Thomas here in Nashville, and he's done like 100 of these operations. So I talked with him and asked if we could put it off, and he said, yeah, it looks fine, you got nothing to worry about. He actually did an in-office procedure and took some of it out, which was painful, but it was great for me on the road.
Right. And
just kind of limped by with turning up my in-ears, and got these great ultimate ears, custom molds, and I absolutely love them, and they're a lifesaver for me on the road because of my hearing issues I've had since I was a kid. So long story short, we finally scheduled a spot in January when we had a break. We're off in January every year pretty much, and I was getting ready to go out and do the tour, and so it was supposed to be an hour-and-a-half operation. Went in, and everything looked fine. I woke up and looked at the clock, and it was 8 o'clock at night. It was supposed to be 3. And I was like, uh-oh. And I had my head felt funny. I had some big bandage on my head. So it turns out they had to take my ear off and get in because this thing had eaten away at the middle bone and had eaten away a big, not big, but large enough section of my skull and the membrane covering my brain. And it was about to give me meningitis. And
oh, boy.
Yeah, it was kind of serious. So he said he went into life-saving mode. He said it was like slicing spaghetti is what he told me. Getting the nerves, which is, I don't have any feeling right now in a circle about the size of a 45 record around my ear. And I still have no hearing in it right now, but hopefully it's going to come back. We got to maybe do one more operation. I don't want to complain about it. It's definitely been aggravating and annoying with what I got going on and what I like to work a lot, and it's been frustrating and kind of taken a good bit of the joy out of what I do. But hey, I'm able, I'm above ground. I have friends that are dealing with cancer, so it's hard to whine about it.
Right.
So that's the reality. That's why we're playing videos today. I just don't feel comfortable sitting and singing yet without all the tools that I need to do it right on the road, a great monitor guy and all that stuff.
Right, and
that's the honest answer.
I gotta probably think singing is a little uncomfortable right now. So,
if I have if I got my monitor guy and my ears and everything's turned up, I'm fine in the studio and all that kind of stuff. But in a room, it's just I have no sense of stereo. Everything's mono.
Gotcha.
So it's a little odd.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I thank you for still doing the show today because I do appreciate that. Let's because and you have such a great story. You know, as a musician, as a writer, as a performer, as somebody working for a legend, there's so much great story to you. You know, and you know that down the line, once it all heals, that's just going to be another part of a great story of somebody who's so successful at what they're doing. So
Sure.
yeah. Let's talk about speaking of the legend. Let's talk about the song you wrote for him that got on his last record. So Lights Fall, I believe, right?
The song is called As Lights Fall. Yes, sir.
Yes.
We didn't know we were going to be writing on an Alan Parsons record. We had heard whispers that we were going to possibly record one. So he flew us out to his place in Santa Barbara. He just built a brand new studio. I mean, literally hadn't even plugged the speakers in. We helped him do it all.
Okay.
At the end, get the speakers fired up. And, one day we're all hanging out and he goes, all right, who's got songs? And we were all like, what? So I'm looking through my phone. I don't keep my own stuff on my phone. I'm like, did I send Robert some stuff? I didn't have a lot there. And I played him a few things, but nothing was really, in my eyes, for me, that I played. The other guys had some stuff that was great, that we heard on day one, that made the record, and it was great. But I didn't really have anything I thought that was worthy of a real Alan Parsons record. And I think the fans were clamoring for something classic, some classic Alan Parsons. And so was I. I'm still a fan.
Right.
So I left there and I said, I really want to write something for Alan. And if I did that, I think I can write something kind of romantic about his career and kind of where he intends to go. Just knowing him and knowing how he'd like to sail off into the sunset. He's a proper British man, and I just thought I could capture that. So I wrote that. I wrote As Lights Fall as a ballad, and I thought it was perfect for the record. About a week later, I came up to his house, and it was just him and I. We had dinner. And I went over to his piano and got a glass of wine, and I said, hey, I want to play something for you. And I played him the song, and I looked over at the end of the chorus, and his eyes were welling up a little. And I said, oh, man, I got him. He gets it. And at the end of the song, he said, that's terrific. He said, is that about me? And I said, of course. He said, he goes, it's great. And he goes, sadly, we have 3 ballads on the record. We can't put another ballad on, And I was devastated, man. I was gutted, but this happens with songwriting, You think you got a perfect match for somebody, and sometimes, the winds don't go your way. So I called my wife before I boarded the plane home, and I was, just completely, depressed about it and upset. And she goes, why don't you do it as an up-tempo? And I said, I can't do that as an up-tempo. Well, about 2 cocktails into the plane flight, I started tapping my foot, saying, I go, this may work. So I literally got off the plane. I had an Uber pick me up and take me to the studio where I was, I used to produce out of at Capricorn, right in downtown Nashville. And I just started in right away. And I didn't come out till 8 hours later, and I had the song pretty much done all the way through. And when we flew back to Alan's the next week, I pulled him aside. I said, I want to play something for you, and put it on the big speakers. And as soon as the lyrics started, he turned to me, he goes, it's that song. And I go, yeah. And he listened through the chorus, and then he turned to me and he goes, go get the guys, let's cut it. And I go, really? He goes, yeah, let's record it right now. So it really happened just like that.
That's awesome.
He made some great lyric changes. He's like, send me the lyrics. So I sent him the lyrics. I initially had the song called When Lights Fall. He changed it to As Lights Fall. It sang better, read better. And he also, I had the line, one more, trip around the sun, one more dance under the moon. And he came back with one more dance behind the moon. And I think it was 1 o'clock in the morning. And I called him. Of course, it's 11 there, but I know he was awake. I called him and I said, hey, man, was this a Dark Side reference to, Dark Side of the Moon? And he goes, well, I thought so. And I said, it's effing brilliant. I said, and he said, do you like it? I go, yeah, we're keeping it, And that's pretty much it,
That's awesome. Okay. Well, I'm gonna play the video. One thing is, you're back. You've been frozen for a while on the Zoom, so I was gonna have you dial out and come back in during the song. But apparently, you're working again on my side here, so I think we're okay going forward.
All right, cool.
Zoom has some weird stuff that goes on, and I know you're out in your cabin too, so
Sorry.
we've talked about that too. But hopefully you'll stay in. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
this is As Lights Fall.
I set out to make my mark, to forge a road despite the dark. Though clouds of doubt have grayed the path, I followed through and faced the wrath. My sword was cast in songs of light, in spots and waves, enchanted nights, crafting tales and magic spells, clever sounds in silent realms. When I find my way to that peaceful glen, there will be no regrets left on that road. Though the burden is great, every now and then I would still go back and carry that load. Meet me there as lights fall. This will be my curtain call. Meet me there as lights fall. A humble bow to close the show. My heartfelt thanks before I go. When the curtain falls, I'll fade away. We'll meet again in a magic lane. When I find my way to that peaceful glen, there will be no regrets left on that road. Though the burden is great, every now and then I will still go back and carry that load. Meet me there as lights fall. This will be my curtain call. Meet me there as lights fall. Oh, for one more trip around the sun, one more dance behind the moon. When my final feed is done, I'll share the moment here with you. Meet me there as lights fall. This will be my curtain call. Meet me there as lights fall. This will be my last call.
Nicely done, man. That's a great song.
Thank you.
That had to be surreal to be sitting there in the studio going, he's cutting my song. He's cutting my song.
Yeah, you know what? That went away really quickly because I went immediately into fighting for my parts because, like we all want to do, we were in there pulling and tugging and trying to rearrange the song and make it different. It eventually came back to exactly what we had, and in fact, a lot of the stuff from my demo got bounced into the session because it just made it work a little more than what we were having.
Right.
But yeah, it was also not only having Alan on it, but having these, my touring brothers on it. They're amazing musicians, and what they brought to it was special as well.
Cool. Well, we've got one left, and it's Cecilia Weiss. So tell me, that's an interesting title. Tell me about this, and I love this song, by the way. As a big Beatles fan, first time I heard this song, I was like, oh yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's funny. You say Beatles. I immediately what I was going after was ELO, and that's the influence I hear. Which of course Jeff Lynne was very influenced by the Beatles, so it all comes around, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, so Alan had a title for the record, and he was keeping it quiet. But I had heard from a couple of slip ups here and there that he wanted to call the album The Secret. And it was going to be about magic, and we were going to do a themed album. And I was like, well, that's great. The fans love that stuff. And as a boy, first of all, I don't know if everybody knows, but Alan is a wonderful magician in his own right. He's a member of the Magic Castle in Los Angeles. And
had no idea.
He can really do some great tricks. He loves magic. He loves the history. Yeah, he loves the history of magic. I think it was his dad was kind of like I don't know if you knew a guy, the Amazing Randy. He would debunk these so-called clairvoyants and these people that were bilking people out of money, and so all that plays into it as well, that part. But
Okay.
I know he's a big Houdini fan, and as a boy I read a book on Houdini, and I was always very fascinated by it. So I thought I always like to come around about and never hit you square in the face with a song. I don't want it to be, hey, here's a song about magic. So I wrote the song about Houdini's famous relationship with his mother. He was a big-time mama's boy and absolutely adored his mother. And it was crushing to him to lose her. But in the time period when he was debunking all these, clairvoyants and revealing, what they're really doing through magic, because he was such a great magician.
Right.
He was trying to find a real clairvoyant so that when his mother passed, that he could speak to her in the beyond. And they had a pact. They had a secret word, and I don't think anybody even knows what that word is. They had a pact, and he said, if you speak this word to me, I'll know it's you. And of course, his mother died when he was on the road somewhere. But the song Cecilia Weiss is about his mother, Cecilia Weiss, and about their relationship and hoping to see her again in the great beyond, being able to communicate with her somehow.
That's very cool. That's very different. It's not like your normal standard song fare. So that's really cool. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Thanks.
This is Save the World and Cecilia Weiss.
Ladies and gentlemen, there is nothing supernatural, supernatural, supernatural.
Every night I relive broken dreams and promises we were to keep alive. And sometimes in the moon's unbroken beams, I long to see you in the afterglow of life. And in my darkness, you cracked the night, all dressed in white. Oh, what a sight! Mother to son, reach through the night light.
supposed to see otherwise. And now that you said ELO, that's all I heard.
It's funny. I was just sitting here going, when John comes back, he's going to go, oh, yeah.
Yep, and that's exactly it. So it still hits Beatles for me, but now that you said ELO, I completely hear the Jeff Lynne part of that. And I mean, Jeff Lynne, brilliant beyond most people ever get to be.
Yeah.
Well, man, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. I know you've got a busy schedule, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Let's make sure, hey, right down here on the screen, Dan's information has been scrolling the whole time. So make sure you find him on Facebook. Save the World Band on Facebook. It's savetheworldband.com. Of course, you can find Alan Parsons, alanparsons.com. Dan, when are you guys going back out on the road? I want to know where everybody can find you next.
Yeah, that's a mystery to everybody right now, isn't it? We're not sure when we're all going to get out there and get back to work, but we will.
That's true. I didn't know if you guys were still kind of planning maybe for the fall or something. I know that there are some bands already starting.
We just don't know, like it. Sorry, this delay is killing us.
I know.
Yeah, so we're waiting to see if the fans. It really depends on the fans. If when the fans are ready to come out, that's when we'll come out. That's what it takes. You got to put asses in the seats.
Yep. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Dan Tracey. Next week, I've got Jason Gamble from Lady Antebellum. So make sure you tune back in next week. We're going to talk to Jason about the touring and his writing and his jazz album, which is so good. Dan, Tyson Leslie said hi. A mutual friend of ours chimed in and said hello. But everybody have a safe week. Happy Mother's Day. Thanks again, Dan.
Super talented guy.
Oh, yes. We were on Facebook Messenger last night until like 5 a.m. chatting. Guys, we'll see you all see you next week.
I don't know if you've heard his record. His record's great.
Oh, I'm gonna have him on the show at some point soon. So, all right. See you guys soon. Hey, by the way, here's our Facebook.
Conductor took my ticket. I can't believe I'm going through this again. Not again. I took a chance, I took a leap. I guess I got myself in too deep. I don't regret it, but I wish it didn't have to end. No. Now these tracks are taking me home. Take me where I wanna go. Take me where things are, where they are easy. And I need something easy, something where I don't cry every night about the mess that is my life. I swear I'll clean my act someday, but today, take me away, yeah. 'Cause I need something easy. I sit and watch the world flashing by in a New York minute. I wish it all didn't have to go so fast, so damn fast. I close my eyes and breathe real deep. Maybe try to catch a little sleep. And dream a bit about my future and not the past. Yeah, and I know I'll make my mistakes, but that's the chance that I'll take. 'Cause I know it can be. It can be easy, and I need something easy. about to